That was not the loudest feedback we could get. Check. Good morning. It is Wednesday morning. It's 9 a.m. Come on down front. It's a little. Did anyone notice any rain outside? No. Okay. It's not drought weather. We are online. I'll talk to the camera for a second because that's always pleasant. We are online and streaming right now. Hello out there to the. How many people do we have? 6, 4, 2, 1. You've got you. Excellent. So I've already ticked that one person off. So let's see. If you want to follow at home from here, we'll give you information after the show. Let's see. So today, every Wednesday we get together from 9 to 10 a.m. here at Fat Pipe BBQ to hear stories from entrepreneurs, to hear stories from people who are making things happen, to have a discussion about how to grow business and operations and make them more sustainable. We're part of over 70 cities across the country that are doing this on a weekly basis. Dara and I had a chance to visit Kansas City. I don't know. It seems like 2 weeks ago, but maybe it was last week. 2 weeks ago, yes. And it was great to hear those stories from other folks and see what they're doing and how we're doing compared to them. And we're just really interested in growing the community. So one question I've got is, how many folks is this your first 1 million cups? Excellent. Perfect. So if this is your first 1 million cups, you actually keep those hands up for a second. Well, we'll try and keep them up as long as possible and make this an exercise. But if you're somebody who's been from 1 million cups before, please make an effort to talk to these folks at the minimal break or at the end of the session. You can drill your hands now. Please make an effort to talk to the folks and find out what it is that you're interested, who you want to meet, and how we can help connect you with the community. The more that we can do that, the stronger community we have, and the better things are for everyone. Speaking of making things better for everyone, I'm just going to leave it at that. No. We've heard from Charles a little bit ago when CivNet was in the idea stage, but Charles Wissoff is fairly recent newcomer to Albuquerque, but he's got a passion for civic tech and for open government and for getting people together to make things happen, which is one of the things that we do here around entrepreneurs, but for different topics in and around the community. So we're really excited now that he's moved along and they're taking beta users and they're growing CivNet. So Charles, if you can join us up here and tell us a little bit about what's been going on since we last heard from you and all that good stuff.
Thanks, Eric. So some of you haven't heard my spiel before, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is in addition to what I've been doing. My name is Charlie Wissoff. I am the founder of CivNet, which is a new online platform for community organizing. I've been working in the field of civic engagement for the past 5 years of my life. Most recently at an organization called the Kettering Foundation. And Kettering convened groups across various sectors all asking the same question, which was, how can we make our democracy work as it should? So during my time at Kettering, I saw some needs that I felt like weren't being met. Specifically, there's a lack of a good online and civic political space for this type of dialogue, this type of engagement. And if we look at Pew and census data, this is confirmed. There's around 26.7 million people in the U.S. who are using the online space to engage in civic and political issues. Yet only 25% of these people become more engaged when they encounter an issue online. 9% become less engaged. This means that the civic and political space online is failing to empower about 20 million people. I think the problem is, when it comes to understanding how we can make an impact, we're using very outdated maps, when we should be using maps that look more like that. And CivNet is meant to be that map. It's a map that helps people understand how to get from point A, which is caring about an issue, to point B, making an impact around that issue. And it does that by helping people understand what's going on in their community, connecting with others who care about similar issues, finding opportunities to get involved, and organizing to take action. So this is a little bit what our beta platform will look like. These are some mock-ups of the pages that there will be. And there are basically two main feature sets. The first feature set is what you see in the top left corner. That's this LinkedIn for politics, LinkedIn for civic life. And the idea is that it helps you filter your network by who cares about specific issues, what civic skills they have, and what they're looking to do to get engaged. They may want to sign petitions. They may want to volunteer. They may want to go to public meetings. They may want to donate. It's meant to capture all forms of engagement under the sun. And then you can visualize that network and see who the leaders are, how they're all connected with each other, and get a better understanding of how you can make an impact. The second main feature set is this project orientation, these action plans. These are action plans that users will be able to create around issues that they care about. So if you care about education, your action plan might be volunteering in schools. And users, people, groups will be able to create these action plans, post opportunities to get involved. It'll be a discussion space, a place to post events, and post different resources around that, and basically just organize to make an impact around the issues that you care about. So since I've talked to you, when I had talked to you, I had developed a demo platform, I had done some market research, and we made a lot of progress since then. We've raised $30K in seed funding from private investment. We have a development team on board. My lead developer, Brad, is in the audience. Thank you, Brad. We're partnering or planning on partnering with Tufts University for a proposed contract of $170,000 over 3 years to pilot this on 2 campuses. And we are piloting it right here in Albuquerque later this year. And as of this morning, we had 186 beta testers signed up. And we're looking to get around 500 to 1,000 by the time we release the platform. I think there is a great market opportunity for this. These are just some of the types of organizations that we think could really use this. And the reason that slide was supposed to be before that. The reason we think they could use that is that CivNet provides a very unique data point. And that data point is what issues people care about and how they want to be engaged on those issues. So again, people may want to sign a petition, they may want to donate, they may want to volunteer. This allows organizations to see how people want to be engaged so they can engage them on their own terms. And the idea is they're going to be a much higher conversion rate. So every dollar you spend on advertising, CRM services, it's much more likely that a user is going to respond because you can easily target them and it'll be done in a way that is empowering to them. So we've done a business plan, and the revenue projections look very good. These are somewhat conservative estimates, assuming that we're successful. And our rate of success is covering about 60% of that market that I mentioned, which is those 26 million people online, which, depending on how you define it, could actually be up to 50 million. So our growth plan is to start locally in small communities around local issues, get around 2 to 5 beta sites going up. If the Tufts contract goes through, we will have that. We'll have 2 campuses and here in Albuquerque. Refine the platform, iterate, and launch publicly. This is our team. I'm working with Brad as my lead developer, and we're also working with a consulting firm based out of Chicago to provide support to us as needed. So I want to talk a little bit about the challenges. This is not just supposed to be a pitch. And the 3 that I've listed here are finding a technical co-founder, getting beta users signed up, and finding investment. So I wish I had silver bullets or answers for all of these, but I don't. I can tell you what I think has worked and what I think hasn't worked. In terms of finding a technical co-founder, I found that building relationships has been super helpful. I pretty much went to every single tech meetup there is in Albuquerque, I think. I volunteered for Code for Albuquerque, which is where I met Brad, my lead developer. And I felt like that was really helpful because people got to know me and people got to understand who I was. And it's very much about building trust with people in communities. Because if you go into, I think someone once said to me, finding a co-founder is like finding someone to marry in terms of the level of trust that you need to make that work. Things that I felt didn't work. I probably spent too much time exploring certain options that I should have known earlier weren't going to work. I was, a little bit, I don't want to say desperate, but I did feel this need to get someone on board, and I was exploring options that down the line I probably wouldn't have worked out, and I could have been more efficient in not doing that. In terms of getting beta users signed up, what hasn't actually worked as well so far are things like mass media, social media, posting online. We've gotten a little bit of a trickle there, but what has been most effective is in-person presentations. I've been going around to different community groups, the district coalitions for neighborhood associations. My most effective events have been Ciclavia, which was this open streets event, and the Rail Yards Market. We get about 40 signups in an hour. Last, finding investment. I would say the same lessons apply to finding a technical co-founder. To me, it's about building relationships and following through on those. It's hard to get people to invest if they don't know who you are. So my main ask of you today is to sign up as a beta tester. As I said, we're looking for 500 to 1,000 users to sign up, and we have around 185 currently. Brad, my lead developer, is going to pass out a sign-up sheet along with a lesson that I found out. if you don't get people to sign up immediately, they're going to forget about it and not go back to the computer even if they are interested. So that's why I am passing out a sign-up sheet. And it's a pretty small commitment. It basically just means you get some notifications from us, and we ask you to sign up and try it out when it gets released later this year. So thank you very much. Questions? That's my other ask, to give me knowledge and advice.
So how have you been getting the word out so far? You already mentioned going to the very different groups and different locations. What seems to be, I mean, what have you learned from like the different events that you've attended, whether it's the rail yards or say Cyclovia?
I think the audience depends. Some people in communities feel like they've been doing this for 30 years. Why do we need to do something different? I already know how to do community engagement. Why are you telling me I should try out this new platform? And a bunch of people have been approached already by various different civic techs. Nextdoor is one. There's a variety of other platforms being used. So I think the key to me has been finding people who are open-minded enough and don't see themselves as gatekeepers. And by gatekeepers, I mean people who are in power who don't necessarily want to give you access to the community members that they work with. The reason that Cyclovia and rail yards have been so successful is because there's no gatekeepers there. I'm getting people one-on-one who there's not someone saying, oh, you need to go through me first to talk to this person. And I would say that by successful, I mean about 80 to 90% of people who stopped by my booth at Cyclovia signed up. So to me, the idea is resonating with people. Okay?
Have you worked with a marketing company at all to help you with your message differentiation? Because there are some other platforms, but yours is not like theirs.
Sure.
But the basic description of it is, and you need to go a little deeper to get that differentiation. I think will make it very exciting for those that you're struggling to reach.
Yeah, I haven't worked with a firm. I've thought about it a lot, and a part of my business plan is basically comparing it to each of the major competitors. And just to speak to that for a second, there's Nextdoor, Nation Builder is another big one, and then there's Facebook and Twitter. And the thing that differentiates CivNet from them is in my mind, very much the grassroots aspect of it. It's a platform that is designed to help everyday people do what they need to do in civic and political life.
That's not the differentiator.
Well,
Searchable.
Well,
Super searchable.
yeah.
The others are not. They're like social media. You have to scroll through to find information. Yours is searchable.
Yeah. Well, that's the differentiator between Nation Builder. Nation Builder is it's a CRM system for organizations to engage people and run campaigns. With Nextdoor, it's the fact that it's not confined just to private neighborhoods. With Facebook, it's not just about groups, it's about these project orientation action plans. With Twitter, it's less ephemeral, it's more long-standing engagement, and you have more opportunities to set expectations for different users. But no, I haven't worked with a marketing firm to answer your question. I just don't have it in my budget. At some point, it's probably something we'll do. So I don't know. Do you have any advice around that, or?
Not specifically.
Yeah.
Just the idea came up.
Yeah.
I use a lot of different apps for my business, and what I've learned is I usually have to do a trial of 3 different types, whether it's looking for a point-of-sale system or a scheduling. And what I've noticed is that when someone has a trial period for it, say, obviously 30 days free, and then any kind of support where I get a caseworker,
Mhm.
I can just email that one person because I don't have time to sit and figure out your program. And I wind up choosing the one that is most willing to teach me. But I think it's very normal for people to audition the 3 different types of competitors. So if you make that open enrollment period very welcoming.
Yeah. So is a suggestion then to I guess help users along as we get them signed up?
And I would say even advertise it as a trial.
Yeah.
I love having when there's one person I can just email like, hey Bob, I don't know how to log in. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to send the dumbest questions because I'm not going to search your help button. I just need to know now. So
Yeah.
it's been very helpful. And it's determined with platform tension.
Yeah. So I think that's really valuable advice. It's something I think I've been thinking about, not exactly in the way you're talking about. The way I've sort of been thinking about it is we're probably going to select some people who are really into this idea and who are community leaders to create action plans and try to help them along creating those and use the platform in that way. I do want to make myself available to the general user, but we haven't advertised that as much. So that's a good point that I should probably make that more transparent, that will be available. You can email me or Brad if you have an issue with the system. So thank you.
Johnny, do you have evidence that what you want to do will succeed? Is there a success story?
Is there a success story? I think we're doing something that hasn't exactly been done before. People have tried. So people have tried before to create all-purpose civic and political engagement platforms. None of them have really succeeded yet. Then there's a variety of reasons. I have hypotheses as to why. My hypothesis is basically that those systems weren't designed to empower people in a way that's meaningful to them. They were designed to get people to vote. They were designed to help organizations manage a constituency. Or it just wasn't the right timing. So I don't think there's a success story, but I think in my mind that means there's a lot of opportunity there because no one has been able to capture that market yet. And I think there's a lot of movement there. There's a lot of need there that isn't being met, and that's why I think there's such an opportunity. We're currently using D3 as it's a JavaScript library. In the background, at some point, we will probably use iGraph, which is a C library that also has Python implementations, and our developers have written a wrapper around it. But that'll be used more. The user probably won't see that. That's more going to be for heavy data analysis when we're making that more of a service to organizations. No, I haven't gone that route yet because it's a big publicity push and a lot of effort, and I don't have the need now. So our funding is going to last us basically through till January, and we're trying to raise another round of funding, probably $400,000 to $500,000. So if that doesn't look like it's going to work out, I'll probably heavily consider crowdfunding. Yeah. Oh, got it. Sorry. Sure.
And one problem was in the high schools, middle schools, they were underfunded. They couldn't do any kind of work. They couldn't take field trips. So the concept would be is they could actually go onto their site. They could say, this is my classroom, these are my kids, this is what we want to do. Okay? Connect with local businesses that have a vested interest. Okay? And so local businesses can create internships for them and so on and so forth.
Sure. I'll try to answer your question. Tell me if I'm not hitting it. Whomever you are, if you're an organization, a person, a group, you'll be able to post whatever type of opportunity or action to get involved that you want. So that could be basically all the things you mentioned. And then the idea is that someone will post it, and then you'll be able to find through the LinkedIn aspect of it people who might be interested in following through on that. In terms of the crowdfunding aspect, we are not ourselves going to build that into the system initially because we don't want to stretch ourselves too thin. And my preference for most things like that is to sort of outsource it. So there's plenty of crowdfunding apps. I actually specifically talked to one that's supposed to be crowdfunding for nonprofits called Like Minded, and the idea is to integrate what we're doing enough with those people so they can use CivNet as a way to onboard people onto their apps. And the idea long-term is for CivNet to become a platform for democracy apps. This is similar to what Facebook does with things like games. So anytime someone, I think Zynga is the main one, anytime someone comes to a game through Facebook, there's a fee associated with that Facebook gets, but the app is developed separately from Facebook. Sure. Yes. That's not our business model right now. I'll definitely take it into consideration, though. Thank you for the comment.
One of the conversations we had was about sort of what's the ideal kind of project or something. So it kind of it's a little bit of a chicken and egg kind of thing. And I think one of the reasons why Cyclovia was, I think really a good area to prospect for users is because they're all committed to growing the use of cycling in town.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what are you kind of looking? Is there something you're looking for for and the kinds of people and projects that'll help help your platform grow and then become a good example that other people follow?
Yeah. So in the abstract, I think more grassroots, more people-oriented projects that aren't as driven by a mothership nonprofit, for example, will be better because that's what we're looking for is on-the-ground engagement. In addition, we're looking for projects that have lots of different opportunities to get engaged. So if the only ask is come donate to us, that's not exactly what we're about. We're about, you can come donate to us, you can host an event, you can volunteer a certain way, you can write a letter to the editor, So we're trying to find issues that fall in that spectrum. I think the biking one is a good one. There's some stuff going around in mental and behavioral health that I think would be really good. And then there's the question of whether or not we want to try the really controversial issues. So there are things like the bus rapid transit that would probably be really great because so many people are engaged on it, but it might be not a great it start with because it's so politicized at this point that we don't want to start off by creating a very vitriolic environment on CivNet. But it really depends. It's whatever people bring up.
Cool. Let's see. And so I will ask a last question.
Sure.
How can we as a community help? I mean, there's a thing going around.
Yeah.
Is that stopping, moving, keeps moving? Great. How can the community help you?
At this point, it's really for us getting the word out, signing up, trying it out, giving it a good college try. We are looking for a next round of investment, as I said, so if you know anyone who would be interested, please feel free to email me. My email should be up on our website, and I'll also put my cards up at the back, I guess. Those are my two asks. Sign up. And if you have investors that are interested, connect with us. At some point, we'll be looking for tech talent, but that will be after we raise the next round of investment.
Cool. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we have a few sort of guest announcements. If we've already promised to help you make a guest announcement, please come on up. Let's see. Oh yeah, I see Roxanne. I see other folks. Other fantastic things are happening. Trish, if you'll come up and let's see. Do we have somebody from New Mexico Community Capital? Excellent. Yeah, come on over. So there's a lot of, as always, there's lots of great events that are happening in town. We've got several, basically through mid or the end of November, there's just a ton of kind of almost bigger events that are happening that I think are really shaping the Albuquerque that's, we want it all to become. So we'll hear from a few different folks. Roxanne, can you tell us, I hear that there's this Creative Startups Accelerator. It's unique in the world. It's making fantastic things happen. Is there any way we can find more information about that?
Why, yes, Eric, there is. Thank you. You can talk to me. My name's Roxanne Blair. I'm the Director of Programs at Creative Startups. We run a business accelerator that's international in scope for the creative industries. We are having our Creative Startups Accelerator Demo Day, which is a really fun night. We did it last year. Some of you are there, I know. It'll be at Factory on 5th. We're expecting about 200 people. I'm almost out of tickets. I'll write down here. It's creativestartups.org/events is where you can get a free ticket. We'll have the 9 teams that are participating in this year's accelerator giving really quick, fast-paced pitches. We'll have complimentary beer tastings from Santa Fe Brewing, and we'll have a few food trucks out there as well. So it's a great night to celebrate Albuquerque's creative economy, and we hope to see you all there. And I'll write it down here, maybe if that's okay with Eric, but it's creativestartups.org/events. Next Wednesday, whoops, did I not say that? Wednesday, the 28th at 6 p.m.
Fantastic. Oh, yes.
Yes, so we'll see you all there. You can get the details, creativestartups.org/events. Thank you, Eric.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Let's see. Another event yay! Actually, and Roxanne, just, a gem, somebody who's really making things happen in our community. Yeah, I'll embarrass you. So, while you're back to the audience, the spirit of sharing and collaboration and working with other organizations to make this the best town, the best city, the best region for startups is something that she lives and breathes. So, anything that she's involved with, whether it's creative startups or creative mornings, or just that she's going out to coffee and invites other people along, I would say sign up for that, because she's always around great people, and you want to be you're already there, those great people, so you should be part of that. A different event that we heard a little bit about last week from Charles. We now have a representative from New Mexico Community Capital to talk a little bit about Innovate Her, which is a fantastic thing coming from SBA. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Okay, so the SBA is a small business program. So we were selected to host the Innovate Her challenge. So we partnered with CNM, Fat Pipe, a couple other places, and the challenge you'll submit an application with a business plan and optional video. The deadline for applications is November 6th. We'll announce winners on November 13th at a networking cocktail hour at Matanza Craft Beer in Nob Hill. So we're giving out a prize for the Albuquerque challenge, which is first place is $2,000, second's $1,500, and third is $500. So what we'll do is we'll have a panel of judges select the top three. Top three will pitch at the Matanza event, and then we'll make announcements that day. It's at 3:30 to 6. It's a networking kind of happy hour. And then the finalists can go on to DC to win up to $70,000. So that would be 10 different organizations selected to go on. So there's a good chance. And
is this for women-led projects? Or
so it is women-based, and men are allowed to enter. There's no discriminating on that end. And it's Innovate Her. It's for a women challenge, for like an innovative idea or product. A lot of women here in this, where I've heard pitch, have great ideas, and they should apply. It's open to men as well, and it should be awesome. And then the only thing that we do ask, since it's kind of a short notice, we'd ask that you RSVP to us so that we can get kind of an idea of how many people are coming. We'll have cocktails, food, and stuff at Matanza. So that would be great. And you can get in contact with Charles or myself for the information.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and we also hear, so previous presenter, Trish with Close Threads has an announcement. Yay!
Thank you, Eric. Good morning, everybody. My name is Trisha Terhar, and I'm the founder of Close Threads. Like Eric said, past presenter at 1 Million Cups. And we have launched, which is very exciting. And unfortunately for those of you who signed up for early access that have Outlook, our launch email probably went to your spam folder. So just wanted to take this opportunity to let you know about that. If you go to close, as in near, closethreads.com, browse retailers, you can see all of the local retailers on our network. You can subscribe to any of them. They'll personally curate fashion recommendations for you. Those will arrive as an email, and you'll be able to purchase any of the items within that email. So we have a variety of local retailers and designers like Dara, so you can subscribe to them. Yes, awesome. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you. And let's see, I think that's it for the other sort of special announcements. I want to thank our sponsors. We can't make this happen without people from the community, organizations from the community coming together to support 1 Million Cups and our local entrepreneurs. So Fat Pipe ABQ, Lisa and her team here rock. How about a round of applause for Fat Pipe ABQ? Let's see, why Fat Pipe ABQ rocks is one of the hashtags. Use that liberally. We want to make sure that people know that this is where things are happening in Albuquerque in our community. Sabio Systems, helping with the coffee on a weekly basis. Amazing sponsors. Thank you, Sabio Systems. In addition to that, you may have noticed that, it's cold, it's wet. Who doesn't need a donut? Noventum's got some donuts still in the back. And also, in addition to that, we've got Emergent Wave, we've got Nick Lehman Media, we've got Booyah Media, we've got all sorts of other folks who are helping make things happen. I'm just about out of things, but I will say that there is the Scrappy Startup Challenge that is coming on November 17th. Learn more about that with New Mexico Technology Council. In addition to that, on the 20th of that week, that's during Global Entrepreneurship Week, there's a special new event coming for solopreneurs. If you're a freelancer, if you're becoming an independent worker, or you just want to explore that, we're going to hear from people who are experienced and have made their way successfully in that realm. How do you find how to work with with people, find resources, and move on. That's something we're going to be talking about or working on during that event. I've talked way more than I should have this morning. I want to really hand off to Dara, who will take us into the second half of our show.
Good morning. I have the pleasure of announcing our next presenter, which is Giovanni Rossi, who is going to be speaking about balancing life, work, and families through Well Woman Life. So, Giovanna.
Great, thank you. So happy to be here with you all. Can you hear me okay? So as Dara said, I'm Giovanna Rossi, and I'm with Well Woman Life. You have a card, hopefully, in your hand, and if not, I have some more up here we can hand out. And if you go to wellwomanlife.com, you can take a look there, and also Twitter and Instagram is at wellwomanlife if you want to share that. Oops. Hold on a second. So a little bit about me, real quick, and sort of my story of how I ended up creating this business and Well Woman Life and sort of how I got here. I've always been influenced by strong women role models. Harriet the Spy was a big influencer when I was little. I spent hours reading that as a little nerd that I was. And also Wonder Woman was a big influencer, if you can't tell by my logo. I was always fascinated by Wonder Woman and her superpowers and like the lasso of truth. Like that is so cool. And, you know, she doesn't need guns and stuff like that. She's got other awesome superpowers. And so that's sort of what I think all women have, is those superpowers that we want to reveal. Also a big influencer for me was my mom. I was brought up by a single mom with just me and my sister. So lots of women around me. Very woman-centered life, brought up as a feminist, and watched my mom graduate college when I was 9 years old. So watched that whole process, made a huge impact on me and who I am today. Then I put myself through college, put myself through graduate school, ended up running a nonprofit organization focused on women's health and wellness and women's rights here in New Mexico, and then went on to be Governor Richardson's first women's health policy advisor, opening the first women's health office for the state of New Mexico. In that capacity, I started my work with the Family Friendly Workplace Task Force and created Family Friendly Business Award, which launched this year. And then in the midst of all of this, I thought it would be a great idea to start a family and start a business all together. So I got married, had a toddler, started my own business consulting with agencies that work to improve the health and lives of women and families, and grew a six-figure consulting business from year one, and I'm now in year 5. And had another baby while I was doing that, pregnant and breastfeeding pretty much the whole time. So love telling that story. So let's talk about well-being, because really that's what I'm here to talk to you about, wellwomanlife.com. And what is well-being? We can define it as the state of being comfortable, healthy, or happy. And if you think about what that means to you, I want to ask you to just reflect for a moment on what is your greatest well-being challenge right now? What is your greatest well-being challenge? And usually when I facilitate my Well Woman Drinks, which is the monthly event that I'll tell you about, we actually do this as an introduction and people talk about this. So I just want you to reflect on that, think about what that might be for you. And it probably falls within this diagram somewhere. On the 3 bottom layers, we have sort of the building blocks of well-being. Health and fitness, finances and organization, and personal development and spirituality. And then above that, we have the 3 areas that we're trying to impact, right? Our professional life, our family and friends, and our community life. And when we think of women's roles in society, and men, but I specifically address women in my work, women tend to juggle lots of different things. We're the main nurturers and caretakers. We are entrepreneurs and business women and professionals and students. And we are community leaders too. And so those three areas are what we focus on. So the problem that I have seen in working with women and in my work as a consultant is that women executives, leaders, and entrepreneurs are juggling all of these three things: their personal, their professional, and their community leadership goals. So in order to address that, I started doing a radio show a number of years back, and it's called The Well Woman Show. It used to be called Well Woman Radio. It's on KUNM. And I'm launching a podcast by the same name, The Well Woman Show. And I also started a monthly social event called Well Woman Drinks. It's about 2 years old now. We meet monthly, and we have a speaker and drinks, a glass of wine or a cocktail. And then also we're doing our first ever Well Woman Superpower Retreat, and that is actually on Friday. And you can go to wellwomanlife.com/retreat for information about that. We are close to full, and I think today might be the last day that you can sign up for that. So a little bit more about Well Woman Drinks. We meet the third Wednesday of the month at different locations around town. It's $15, and it includes appetizers and a cash bar. And we have speakers on different topics to do with well-being and wellness and the different areas that I just talked about: professional, personal, and community. And we create deep connection and support. So I don't call this a networking event. I never have, although people do network. And there have been some amazing relationships that have come out of the meetings, the events. New clients, new best friends, travel buddies, I mean, all kinds of things. And so we build relationships, and that's really what it's about, is building relationships. And it's growing. We have women in other cities who want to do this, replicate it, and have Well Woman Drinks in their cities. I have about 3 or 4 in the works that want to launch in 2016. So we're putting systems in place and processes and procedures to replicate the Well Woman Drinks across or in other cities, including other countries. So my producer for the Well Woman Show is actually in England, and so we're going to do one in England as well. So it's pretty exciting. And I think I'm out of time. Am I out of time? So I want to invite you to join us November 18th for Well Woman Drinks, where it's part of Global Entrepreneurship Week, and we're going to hold it at West. And our speakers will be focused on entrepreneurship, since it's Global Entrepreneurship Week. And you can find more information at wellwomanlife.com. And that's what I have for you. Questions? What's the revenue model? So wellwomanlife.com really it has grown out of my consulting business. So my revenue still is my consulting contracts, and Well Woman Life is developing income streams like when we start having affiliates on the podcast, and also ads on the podcast will be an income stream there. And then there's a small income stream from the Well Woman Drinks and the retreat, although that's not the main focus. I am thinking about and developing other income streams for Well Woman, including possible coaching and other ideas down the road. But I'm very interested in what people might have to say about scaling and replicating in other cities. If you, yes.
What's your biggest success story thus far working with women in the community?
Biggest success story? Just in general, or with Well Woman?
Well, with Well Women in this movement.
I think that there have been several milestones along the way. One that comes to mind right now is launching the Family Friendly Business Award, which really goes to the heart and soul of what I do, which is really trying to balance work and life. And if you saw me walk in, I brought my 3-year-old with me today because she had a field trip at preschool today, and so I couldn't drop her off, and so I had to bring her with me. And so this is what we do. We balance things, right? We just make it work. And so we launched, as part of the task force on work-life balance, the Family Friendly Business Award, which is at nmfamilyfriendlybusiness.com. And any business can apply for the award if you have certain policies in place that are family-friendly, like paid leave or breastfeeding supports, or, there are lots of different things, different policies. So I think that's one of the big wins. Yes.
What do you hope to gain by being here today?
I really wanted to get some feedback on just sort of on what I'm doing, but also on scaling and replicating Well Woman drinks in other parts of the country and other places. Yes?
So you said that there's actually interest in other cities already. How did you get that interest?
Through my through my network, through guests that I interview on the radio show, national conferences I attend, and people who I've worked with who have moved, relocated, and they want to do it in their city.
So what are you telling them right now that they should start doing, or you're just like, well, that's a great idea?
Yeah. So the question, I don't know if everybody heard the question, is how am I getting interest in people replicating Well Woman drinks, and then what am I telling them? So I am right now saying that I'm putting together, which I am, I'm putting together the systems and processes that I have in place so that I can almost just sort of hand over, like, okay, here's, the whole package, like, this is what you do. So, yeah. And I'm telling people that we're going to do this in early 2016, so getting people ready and having people scout out, like, locations and think about speakers and that kind of thing.
So as you're building out that process, really, can you define, like, how you start writing out all these little pieces? Like, are you just like, okay, so we're going to have a meeting, these are all the things that I'm doing to get to that point, or are you just kind of maybe figuring out best practices now and changing things? How do you go about, like, really writing that process down?
Right. So the question is, how do I go about writing the process down and creating those systems so I can replicate them? And it starts with things that I already do in my business practice, which is I have an event flow, I have systems in place written down, like written systems that people, so that if I don't do everything, someone else can pick it up and do it, so I can have help. So I have all of that written down in documents, yeah, definitely. And I use all kinds of tools. Evernote is great. You can just dump stuff in there. I use Basecamp a lot for my consulting business, and that I use that also for this. So really documenting what I do was the first thing, and then thinking about how those things could be done by someone else somewhere else, and that's the next part.
Developing almost subsets of each of this, because all the women in here, entrepreneurial, they have a whole different set of concerns that, say, a whole group of teachers, or a whole group of administrators. So have you looked at doing bundles like that?
So the question is, have I looked at kind of segmenting, right, the different target audiences? And so far, the benefit of coming together has been the diversity. So having moms, having women who don't want children, are not interested in kids at all, come together and sharing those things. So bringing the diversity has actually been a strength. But to your question, we are targeting different themes. So we'll have an entrepreneur theme, and then maybe we'll have more entrepreneurs come to that. And then we'll have a theme on, something else, and sort of segment a little bit that way. Yeah. Good question.
I've got a question about people that are putting on these other well-known drinks. Is there any economic benefit to them?
So the question is if there's an economic benefit to the other folks putting on Well Woman drinks. So right now, initially, I would say the benefit is they rise as a community leader and their network grows, and so it's that is more of the benefit rather than a financial bottom line. Although I'd be interested in developing a model where it would actually benefit them.
Well, it seems to me as you expand, and since this seems to be something you put in a module for the other parts of this, you could franchise.
Yeah, and I am looking at, so I'm looking at all of those different models. The response was that we could franchise it. So there are lots of different ways to do that. Yeah.
Is there anyone in the room that has more experience with licensing, franchising, or membership models that might be a benefit to you? Anyone?
Question is there anyone in the room that is knowledgeable about franchising and licensing and that kind of thing? Ron Patel? He's like, who, me? Wait, I was talking. Okay. I'll connect. Yeah, great. I'll connect to them. Yes.
If you're ever interested in franchising, there's a really great, it's called the Franchise Expo. They do them in New York and California, and it's just a huge convention full of everyone that's looking to franchise, and then all the franchise lawyers go. It's a really interesting way to kind of meet all of the franchise community in one place.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They definitely have a website, Franchise Expo.
Franchise Expo. Okay, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Kind of going along the whole expo line, have you ever, are there a lot of different expos or other community engagement places that you go to be able to talk about this, or at least maybe set up a booth, or is that something that you looked at?
Yeah, the question is, have I looked at setting up, sort of doing more outreach and being in different places? I have looked at that. My time is limited for that, unfortunately, and I know I need to spend time on that in order to be out there. So I am juggling running my business and doing this. So I have wonderful women around me that support and help with that sort of thing, and so I do that as much as possible locally, and then when I'm at national conferences, of course, as well. Yes.
It seems to me like you may not be having trouble getting women interested. It's more maybe you're having trouble, well, not even having trouble, but you're wondering how do you keep growing this? Because I've been to your events and there's 40 to 50, sometimes 60 people at those events, and everybody's talking about it, so that's awesome, and I want to congratulate you on that. But yeah, it sounds challenging to actually continue to move it.
Yeah, so the comment was, and this is from someone who's been to the events frequently, and so she was saying that the challenge isn't necessarily like getting more women interested, because we have a lot of women interested, but of course we always want to reach out more. But she was saying the challenge is growing and scaling. Yeah.
So along those lines, have you thought about who within your group would be able to take over this, like running this event, or at least, the local drinks, at least that one event? Because I'm assuming that you're still running that.
Yes, good question. Have I thought about other people running the event? And I've had to think about that in thinking of replicating it in other cities. And the first thing is that I have a very close group of women that some of them are here right now that could take over as, sort of the facilitator or the MC of the event. So we would try that. Like if I launch one in Santa Fe, which we're going to do, then I would have them run the one here because it's always on the same night. I think I mentioned that earlier. It's on the third Wednesday of the month, so everybody always knows. They put it in their calendar. It's always there. It's always reliable. City to city, it'll all be the same. So I would go to Santa Fe and launch the Santa Fe one with the folks up there and then have people here running the event here. But that's exactly the kind of thing I need to document and ask the women here questions like, how did it, what do you need and how could it be different in order to help people in other cities do it? Yeah.
When you're talking about scaling
Yeah, like testimonials. Yeah, the question was, do I ever take testimonials like video? And I actually take my recorder almost everywhere because I have a show. And so I have interviewed women. So I've got audio, I've got great audio, and then I have, photography as well. I have one of our members is a photographer, so she does a lot of the photography. But I haven't done video yet, so that is definitely on the list. I haven't gotten there yet. Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah, in the back? Yeah, so the question is, have I talked to health plans or other agencies about wellness programs? And I actually haven't done that yet. It's on my radar, but it hasn't been something that I've done yet. So, but that's a great thing to bring up, definitely. Oh, great. Okay. Yeah, definitely. And I do a lot of work in health policy, so I tend to sometimes just only focus on that in my consulting, and then I forget, like, oh, I could be, promoting this. So, yeah, great point. I'll follow up with you. Yes, yeah. So the comment is USDA or SIPI, the Indian Polytechnic. Okay, great. Great ideas. Yes.
I just want to say, as a member of your group, it's unlike any other event or group that I go to, in that I'm able to establish relationships. It seems way faster, and maybe because we're all women, maybe because I have children, and a lot of the other women have children, and we own businesses. But that's pretty cool about the actual Well Women group, is that even though there's a lot of people there, we're all able to become friends really quickly. So.
Yeah, so the comment was just about how we run the event and how people connect really deeply, quickly, and make solid friendships and relationships, and that's really the strength of the model of how we do it.
Kind of just expand a little bit on that. Like, is it just because you have such commonalities with each other, or is there a certain way that you structure the event that helps form those connections? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, Jill wants to talk about it. Yeah.
You immediately share those deep dark things, and then you just get bonded somehow.
Yeah.
So I think it's the way that she's running.
It's the way that the conversations are facilitated. I think we get really real really fast.
I would say, as another member of the event, that because it's not a business networking thing, the first thing you learn about people isn't what you do, it's who you are.
Yeah.
And that is really powerful when you're developing relationships.
Yeah, so I'll expand a little bit on that since there's such interest. I do facilitate specific conversations and interactions. So when people get there, we introduce ourselves, and I vary the questions, but sometimes I'll say what advice would you give your 25-year-old self? Or if you're 25 or 30 years old, what advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? That kind of thing. And it just kind of gets people to focus in very quickly on what their core sort of, who they are as a person and who they are in that room at that moment. Because part of it is that we wear so many hats and we juggle so many roles. We have so many roles in our lives and we do so many things that when we're there together, we're sort of, really present with who we are in that moment. And that may depend on what happened that day. That may depend on what happened that morning, yesterday, last week. So.
Well, we have one last question for you, Giovanna. What can this community do for you today?
Well, that's a great question, and I think we've already been doing it. I mean, people have been offering, to connect with different resources and things. I think one of the things, too, is to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Well Woman Life and Facebook at Well Woman Life. And check out our events. Come. If you identify as a woman, you are welcome to come to Well Woman Drinks. And the next one is November 18th.
Thank you. Thank you again for another great week here at Fat Pipe. The really cool thing about 1 Million Cups is the conversation tends to continue afterwards. So please stick around, have conversation. Giovanna's here, Charlie's here, if you guys want to talk further with them. On deck for next week is InnoBright Technologies and Albuquerque Roller Derby. So back next Wednesday at 9 a.m. Thank you so much for coming out this morning. If you'd like to apply to present, please go out to 1millioncups.com/Albuquerque.